If you're asking whether monoliths or microservices is better, you're already violating the first law of software architecture. Once you understand that law, the which one is better debate stops making sense. In this video, I'll show you how to make such architectural decisions without guessing ever again. Here's the first law of software architecture. Everything is a trade-off. When you choose a software architecture, you're not choosing something better. You're gaining certain benefits and accepting certain costs. For example, monoliths gives you simplicity and speed, but costs you flexibility and scalability. Microservices, on the other hand, gives you flexibility and scalability, but costs you complexity. That's why asking monoliths versus microservices doesn't even make sense. There is no winner, only different things you choose to pay for. Once you accept that everything is a trade-off, the question becomes simple. How do you make such decisions without guessing? The first thing you have to do is write down the things that matter the most to the business that you're creating the software for. These things include speed of development, flexibility, scalability, performance, team autonomy, operational simplicity, etc. If a driver isn't written down, it doesn't count. Second, take your options and compare them driver by driver. You're not trying to prove that someone is better. You're just making the trade-offs visible. And finally, the option that gives you more of the drivers that you care about the most is your winner. And this is why the second law of software architecture comes into play. The why is more important than the how. You document why you made this decision because in 6 months, the why matters more than the how, which means how you implemented that decision. So let's stop talking in theory and apply this into a real use case. A startup with a limited funding choosing between a monolith and a microservices architecture. As we said, step 1 is about the drivers. Let's say we care the most about simplicity, speed of development, and we have a small team. Step 2, compare our options driver by driver. So here, for example, the monolith is simple, while the microservices is complex. The monoliths are fast to build, while microservices is slower to start. And the small team operates better on the monoliths than microservices. Now here it's important to add more drivers, for example, scalability, because it would be obvious that monoliths will struggle later on with scalability, while microservices will work better on that driver. But just for the sake of the example, I didn't list all the drivers. I just listed a few of them. Step number 3, decide and document. If we're early stage with a small team, the monolith wins. Not because it's better, but because it gives us more of what we care about right now. And actually, this is why most applications don't choose one architecture and stick to it forever. They use both, just at different points in time. As a startup, you usually begin with a monolith. It's faster to build, cheaper to run, and easier to reason about. Then as the product grows and the team grows and more constraints appear, parts of that monolith starts turning into microservices. Not because microservices are better, but because the trade-offs you care about have changed. And this is why documenting every architectural decision across the app's lifetime is the most important of all. At this point, you're no longer guessing. You have a simple framework you can immediately apply to any architectural decision. Define what matters, compare the trade-offs, and document why you took that decision. Whether it's monoliths, microservices, or something entirely different, the process stays the same.